Hello friends, so welcome to this lecture on privilege identity management in case of Azure. So before digging into the PIM in case of Azure, so privilege identity management is all about the identities which are having higher or elevated access to the resources within your environment. So in case of Azure, it is a service, or you can say a managed service, which is provided by Azure, which basically helps you to manage, control and monitor access to important or critical resources within the organization. And these resources could be anything like Azure AD, right? Or Microsoft online services like Office 365. It could be Microsoft Intune, means all the resources which are being used within the organization and identities who are having access to such resources. So with the privilege identity management, it helps the organization to secure access to these particular critical resources so that there should not be any kind of malicious user or actor getting the access. So why this privilege identity management is important? Because see, the people who are having the elevated access or people who are having the higher privileges, so it is like it is always a security best practice that okay, these keys or these identities should be secured properly, because generally they are called as they are having the keys to your kingdom. So if those keys are lost, then your kingdom is in danger. So that is why it is being said that okay, privilege identity management or the security of the high privilege users is really very important in your organization. And it really, in order to get this feature in case of Azure, you need to have the Azure AD P2 license. So the another question which generally helps to understand the topic well is that okay, what exactly is the need for privilege identity management or reasons to use? See, there are the organizations which are doing business. They want to minimize the number of people who are having actually access to the secure information or the resources which are there in the organization. And the reason for that is for having you know access to such secure information is that that it reduces the chance of any malicious user or the user with malicious intention getting the access to your getting access to some authorized user, or so that it should not impact any kind of sensitive data which is there in the organization. And apart from all these users who are working within the organization, they still need to carry privilege operations in case of Azure AD or Office 365, right? So in that case, organizations, they can, they have the features like in case of Azure, there is a feature called as just in time. So with the help of which, privilege access to Azure AD or resources can be provided within the Azure. Like this just in time access could be provided to particular VM, let's say some administrator or some outside vendor who is managing your virtual machine, let's say for XYZ reason, and you are allowed to, and you have provided the RDP access, so you can provide the RDP access, let's say for once the request is approved, that after 3 hours or 4 hours, that is out, that can automatically expire. So you can provide the time bound access request to your users to perform such kind of operations. And apart from all these, when such users, they are performing the activities, there is also a very you can say a need to oversight or monitor that okay, what those users who are having access to such critical resources, what they are doing, what kind of behavior they have, right? Is it like they are using the resources appropriately, right? So all those things can be used by the organization, and really a reason to use PIM, because it's really very important to monitor such resources. Really important that okay, the users who are having access to critical resources, their identity is secured, right? So that no one should get access to the sensitive information. So all these things are really the reasons for using a PIM within the organization. Now, the another thing we'll study in this lecture is what basically PIM can do or PIM can help. So there are number of uh, features which are provided by the PIM in case of Azure, which helps the organization to mitigate the risk of excessive, unnecessary, or any misuse permissions on the resources that you highly care about or that you think are very important for the organization. So PIM can help in mitigating such risk or providing access permissions to such resources. So there are some key features. So the first one is like just-in-time access. So providing just-in-time access, you know, with the help of which we can provide the privilege access to Azure AD or different kind of Azure resources we have. So this is wherein you can provide a time-bound access. Right, and that, let's say, after 3 hours this access could be removed. Let's say, like I gave the example that okay, you provided access to a certain administrator on a critical VM on port 3389, let's say, for 3 hours. Then first the request is approved, and then after that particular time, let's say after 2 hours or 1 hours, that request will automatically expire. Similarly, we have the time bound access to resources with we can provide the start date and end date, that okay, when that access will start and when that access will end. So in PIM you can also this have the process wherein you can uh, set a approval. Basically, let's say if one administrator needs an access, then in order to activate such rules, approval would be required to really enable or activate those rules. So with the help of PIM, you can also enable multi-factor authentication. Let's say if any role needs to be activated, administrator or root access, it is required, or some enterprise level account which is having the very high privileges. So with the help of PIM, you can enforce the multi-factor authentication, that okay, in order to use such access or privilege role, a multi-factor authentication would be required. And then the another is with the PIM, you can also have the process of providing justification. Let's say user needs a root access or admin access or a global administrator access to perform certain activity. So with the help of PIM, you can also enable where any users or that administrator needs to provide a proper justification, that okay, why such access would be required. And then when any such rules wherein high privilege are is required, with the help of PIM, you can also set some that okay, the notification should be sent that okay, some highly privileged user has been enabled, so that a message could be sent to a group of administrators or some a manager who is managing the Azure AD, or maybe to the security operation center, that okay, this is happening, so that no one should be able to do such kind of actions, or if in case it has been done accidentally, the other administrators or the security operation should know about it. Then is access review. So it basically a feature wherein you can conduct access reviews to ensure that okay, to whom different kind of access to critical resources have been provided, so they still have the access. Like in organization, you must have seen the scenarios that okay, the someone has been provided access to critical resources or to some subscription or to some resource group to perform a certain activity, but after that his access was not removed. Right. So in that case, access reviews really help in those cases, and that is the feature in case of PIM in case of Azure. And then you can also download the audit history for any kind of external or internal audits, with the help of which you will be able to know that okay, what kind of activity has happened. So this is it in this lecture. So just to give you an preview, we studied about that okay, uh, what is privileged identity management, because it helps to secure critical access to those access to those critical resources, and it should be managed well because those are like keys to your kingdom. And then why there is a need for PIM, because you want that okay, there should be no compromise to the sensitive information, and you want to monitor that okay, what is happening really with those users who are having the administrator privileges. And then we have gone through all these features, like what this privilege identity management does in case of Azure Active Directory. So this is it, friends. Thank you for watching this lecture. Meet you in the next lecture.